Welcome back, Attack. My name's Sky, and today we're going to be checking out a game called Battlerite. It's going to be a post-edit review kind of thing of Battlerite, but it's still a first impression, okay? It's still, you know, the game is in early access as well, that I have not played enough hours to really call it a full review. I did get a good taste of the game, though. I played with every character at least once, some characters multiple times. And, you know, I made some favorites. I have some, you know, complaints about the game, but overall, mostly, you know, spoiler alert for this little first impression review, I had a lot of fun with it. I'm definitely gonna give it 2 thumbs up. I'm gonna fully recommend this game. I think it's super duper neato, and I really, really like it. And I kind of like appreciate what this game is trying to do. Me personally, my bias, guys, if you know me, I like MOBAs. But I also like the sort of branching genres of the, you know, MOBAs. Like, I guess kind of like hero shooters. Then we also have these sort of brawlers, I guess you can call them. So they're like MOBAs, but they really focus on the battle arena aspect. Like, literally, this game, you're set inside of, like, little arenas. Very little arenas. There's not exactly creeps, like, at all. There's no towers. There's no items. But I mean, there kind of is an item thing going on. So that's going to be where the, you know, the MOBA influence comes from, is the mechanics of the game, and also like the level system, sort of, kind of. And of course, you have your cooldowns and, you know, your abilities. You have your health bars. You know, the game kind of feels like a MOBA in a way. It's isometric. It's almost like a PvP action RPG in a way. I guess you could say. But it's not like, you can call it a MOBA, I guess, but it's really more like a brawler, I guess you could say. It's really like a 3v3 top-down fighting game, kind of. But yeah, the game is 3v3, guys. So it does focus on that competitive 3-position gameplay. I think you can mix and match it, but I think for the most part, you're going to have a melee character, a ranged character, and a support character. And those are the official classifications of the classes in the game. You do have ranged and melee supports, but they're just called supports. And you do have melee characters who are somewhat more tanky than others, and some are more assassin-y than others. But for the most part, they're gonna be generally kind of, you know, like, I guess you could say bruisers in League of Legends. You know, they're tanky and they do damage at the same time. Like, you know, kind of a combination. And ranged characters, well, they just kind of do the deeps. They do a lot of damage. They do damage over time, damage per second. That's what they do, and they are super squishy. So your supports, and you have your ranged, and then you have your melee, and that's kind of like the trinity. Now, there is a 2v2 mode, and I don't know if they're going to do a 1v1 mode, but for me, and I think the way the game is balanced and really, you know, what it focuses on is going to be that 3v3 mode, but I would like to see a 1v1 mode just for shits and giggles. Honestly, I'd like to see that in more MOBA, like League of Legends, which is also a very mechanical MOBA. So Battlerite, saying that word mechanics, yes, it is an extremely mechanical game. Really, the only thing that kind of competes with it is going to be its predecessor, Bloodline Champions. This is actually like the spiritual, you know, successor to that game. So if you played that game, then you're going to understand this game completely. You know what this game's all about. There's also a couple of other games out there that are in the same genre, but I don't think they're going to get the limelight that this game is having. This game is going to spearhead the brawler genre into the spotlight, hopefully, I think. Kind of like how Overwatch kind of brought to light the hero shooter, but then again, hero shooter was wholly new. See, brawlers have existed as long as MOBAs have existed, even back in the Warcraft mod days. It's just like, you know, MOBAs, you had that proper complexity and everything. With this game, though, I think we finally are at an age where we can have the proper mechanics, the right game feel, to where it actually feels good to play a top-down, you know, tactical fighting game, which I guess, you know, that's what this is. It's a brawler, man. So that, I'm pretty hype about that. I want to see more multiplayer fighting games and more branches off of MOBA genre. I think that'd be pretty cool. But Battlerite right here is feeling really good, okay? Now, its mechanics are definitely above League of Legends. I mean, every character has more abilities than League of Legends characters, for instance, even with activated items. That is one thing, though. Because of how focused on the mechanics this game is, you know, the actual physical interaction of the player and the keyboard, the button presses, the game feel, you know, the flippity-flopping all over the place, the skill shots. That's what I'm talking about when I say mechanics, for those who don't know. Since the game does focus on that, it does take away. You don't have the jungle, you don't have the towers, you don't have the itemization that we normally do in MOBAs. But we do get a little bit of that. Every round, you get to choose one modifier. So you get, like, you draw these cards, and you get to choose a modifier. So I do like that. There is, like, a little bit of progression as you go through the rounds, and there's a bit of customization with your character. And you kind of have to, like, play, you know, to figure out what your enemies have and how that's going to work out in their team composition with your team composition. And that's fun. You still kind of, sort of, you know, in the most minimal way, do have a little bit of itemization, but it really works. And it is definitely impactful. It's not just some slight stat boosts, they can change the game. One card can change the way you play your character, especially in the first round. So really exciting that they have that. All the abilities and how you use them can be comboed in different ways, and they all feel good. Even the supports actually have like skill shot heals. You have to, like, positioning is hyper important. It's extremely important. And like, it's just super duper cool, man. Okay, if I can gush just a little bit, if I could be just a little bit of a child here, it just feels fun, man. Even playing a healer. Like, normally, I'm gonna have to admit, playing healers in other games, even a mechanically intensive game like League of Legends, has been somewhat dull compared to other characters. I mean, playing Soraka versus playing Yasuo, but what's cool about Battlerite is that they have a character that is literally more mobile, or okay, I'll say, you know, on parallel to Yasuo on League of Legends, which literally never stops moving, but he's a support. So his kit kind of feels like an assassin, yet it heals and buffs and debuffs and CCs instead of just does damage. So that's why I really like this game. It adds a lot of complexity to the support classes, which you normally don't see in games, ever, even hero shooters, right? Like, I mean, what? I can't even think of one that's hyper mobile. Mercy? Maybe? Lucio, kind of, in Overwatch, but Battlerite, it just feels so good. It feels right, man. It feels right for battle. Like, I just really enjoy playing the supports in this game. Also, the tanks, well, they're not really tanks. They're called melee. But there is one character that is definitely a tank. I had a lot of fun with that guy. You can make some big plays with him. And that's actually, I want to make that comment. You can make, I think certain characters are definitely like the playmakers. Like, their cooldowns are a little bit higher, and you're really supposed to combo through like ultimates and stuff. And other characters are more focused on, like, you know, consistent DPS and stuff like that. But still, every single character has the potential for a big play. And there's really no character that is just completely immobile. I think every character at least has one mobility ability on their space button. Most people have two, and then to varying degrees, you know, the mobility is like, you know, the lower cooldown, or they jump further, whatever. But every character does have some mobility. You know, even their giant nuking pyro mage has some pretty legitimate mobility, which is actually part of his damaging kit. Which I just really appreciate that. Every character feels mechanical. Every character feels like a brawler. Like, they can jump into a fight and stay in the fight. Of course, you don't always want to do that. So I'm really enjoying the game. Pretty much wholly. You know, it is missing the jungle. It's missing the towers. It's not a proper MOBA. It's not. But if you're somebody like me who loves jumping into mid lane and, you know, having those mechanical one-on-ones of Yasuo versus Riven or something like that, I mean, that's me. That's what I like doing. I like playing the hyper mechanical characters. So Battlerite is just literally filled with all those mechanical characters, and I super duper enjoy that. Now, if you want to play something that is more objective based, because the maps here don't have any objectives really, then you're gonna want to play Heroes of the Storm. And if you want to play something super strategic, you know, lots of itemization, stuff like that, you're gonna play Dota 2. And League of Legends is definitely, it's gonna compete with Battlerite, because League of Legends is still pretty mechanical if you play mid lane or top lane at least. With a lot of their characters, but if you really like those characters, you're gonna want to try to play Battlerite, because it's all the characters, even the supports, the tanks, all of them are hyper mechanical. You have lots of different abilities. But let's talk about the map. Let's talk about the map, okay? Because there is a little bit to it. You do have these orbs that kind of spawn around that give you ultimate meter. And there's also this little big orb in the middle that you kind of want to dominate, and you have to destroy it. Whoever destroys it gets a meter for your ultimate, and also I think a little bit of health as well. So there's some objective play to it, but it's nothing like League of Legends. Like, just get it out of your mind. It's not a proper MOBA whatsoever. But there is some stuff. You know, you do want to dominate certain parts of the map. It's not like there's power weapons or anything, but, you know, owning like the middle of the map is super important because of the orb that spawns. Now, every map does have like different sort of terrain, kind of like, you know, the walls are placed in different spots, but basically it's all the same. I do like that they do have different arenas though. I think like it keeps the game really fresh. And even though it's an early access, there was a very decent like level of detail, the polish, and just the number of maps and the number of characters as well. Everything felt really fresh. Now, I don't know about the balance. I think maybe Croak might be a little bit OP. Maybe he's just easy to play. I don't know. But overall, my matches were pretty fun. Now, I will say some characters were harder to play than others because, you know, they're a little bit more team-oriented, like the Water Mage. She was super hard to play with a team, but if you do get a good team, I think she might be super strong. Maybe we'll see her in competitive. Oh yeah, competitive, by the way, guys. Normally, when a game has a replay system, that means it's a competitive game or aiming to be competitive because, yeah, I don't know what competitive game doesn't have a replay system now, League of Legends, but Battlerite is gonna have a replay system. Already, you can see the icon in the menu there. I don't even know if it's fully functional right now, but it will be. So that's super exciting there. And overall, the game just feels pretty freaking polished. I think it's gonna jump into a competitive state extremely fast. And also, I want to say something. There are times where I died like pretty early in the match. And I was just watching the fights go on. And as a complete noob during my live first impressions, which I streamed on my channel, Skylent Games, just saying, I was actually able to sort of commentate. And like I was really able to sort of understand, you know, what was going on, even though I didn't know the ability names or anything. Like it's really easy to kind of see what's happening. It's like a fighting game. It's pretty blatant and obvious. There's no like super hyper intricacies of the itemizations, and you know, there's not some behind the scenes numbers. I mean, there kind of is, but you know, because it is still inspired by MOBA. But for the most part, it's just very obvious. And just based on appearances, you know, it's a huge spectacle. It's awesome, it's explosive, it's fun to watch, but you also understand it. So I think this is going to be a really cool thing to watch on Twitch. You know, people playing it, people watching it. I think, you know, I have to mention that in this first impressions because that's a big thing that stopped a lot of other MOBAs from getting bigger, or that maybe killed off some MOBAs, though League of Legends is just abnormality, so whatever, man. Overall, guys, I think the art style is super good, but some people aren't gonna like it. I'm gonna admit it. Some people aren't gonna like it, but I like it. I think it's cool. It's cartoony. I think it's gonna be timeless. It's gonna run on most machines. Also, the performance, guys. I keep saying the game is polished, but the performance never dipped whatsoever. I think it was perfect, completely perfect. So, you know, if you want to jump on your laptop or whatever, absolutely, you can play this game. I don't see why you would not be able to. Yeah, yo. Now, for people who have never played proper MOBAs, I think this game, even though it's mechanically intensive, like, I guess, you know, like a fighting game, like Street Fighter or something, there's like combos and there's just a lot of, you know, you gotta be fast, you gotta have reflexes. There's a lot of skill that is required to play this game, but there's not a lot of, like, pure memorization. Of course, it's a team game, so there's memorization with the team comps and everything like that, but you're not gonna have to memorize team comps for 5v5, the jungle, the map, the itemization. It's gonna be much easier to get into and to start playing at a competitive level. Of course, you're still gonna have the skill ceiling because it's completely focused on mechanics, but you're not gonna have to memorize, like, you know, the exact timing of when to pull a jungle camp so that I can stack. Dota 2 looking at you. So I think this is, like, for people who don't like MOBAs and for people who greatly appreciate the mechanics of MOBAs. So for both of those kind of people, which I know is kind of polarizing, I think that that's what this game is aiming for, that niche of people, which is, you know, it's kind of random, it's a mixed bag, and, you know, not everyone's gonna love it, but those who are looking for this specific thing will like it. There are other games out there, but honestly, I think Battlerite is it's the one, you know, like it's the best one. Absolutely, this is gonna be our best attempt at this genre. If this game doesn't work out, then I think the genre is just too niche and that's just the way it's gonna be. But Battlerite is our best chance at getting this very popular, and it looking super good already. Now there's lots of different characters, guys, already in the game. They feel super good. Some are tanky, some are assassiny, some are more supporty, like heal-wise, some are more shieldy, hey, blah, blah, blah. I could go on and on about the characters because there is a lot of depth to them, but that's not what this first impression is about. It's just the overall, you know, it's like, hey, my first impressions. Is it good? Yeah, it's good. And it's good for people who want to try to get into the MOBA mechanics, or for people who absolutely love mechanical MOBAs, okay? So try it out as soon as you can. Now, it's in early access. It's available right now. So, what is it, about 18 pounds? What is that? What? It's about 20 bucks to get into early access, but if you do get early access, it grants permanent access to all champions and all future champions. So they're going to consistently add to their roster. Also, the cosmetics in the game pretty much are just the monetization, like that's the monetization. Is getting the cosmetics and buying the champions. So you're gonna be getting skins. You can actually change out the skins for the weapons, and there's just a lot of stuff that I kind of want to see in other games like Overwatch. Like you can actually swap out different face styles, kind of. You have different, I mean, it's not to the detail of like Dota 2 where each individual armor piece, but you do get full skins, and you can, you know, swap out certain parts, you know, like the weapons and the face, which I think is pretty cool. And you also get some mounts, by the way. Don't know if I mentioned that. It's a really small part of the game. It's nowhere near as complex as Heroes of the Storm, where you can mount up and mount off and everything. It's kind of like Paladins, where it's like you mount at the beginning just to rush into the battleground, and then that's kind of it. Now you can remount. There's even a character that actually uses her mount in her ultimate, but overall, we kind of have seen that somewhere else. And a lot of these mechanics and a lot of these abilities, we have kind of seen them somewhere else, but normally I really heavily criticize it. But in this game, They're actually really original with a lot of their abilities. And if an ability does look similar, trust me, 90% of the ability, the stats and how it actually operates is going to be different. So Battlerite is hyper original. It's gonna feel original. It's gonna feel really good. And if you have not played this genre, I promise you, if you play this game, you are gonna have a wholly unique experience. And yep, that's the Skylent guarantee. That's all I can say. So yep, jump in, like 20 bucks, jump in now. Normally, I don't, say get early access because it's only for people who are really hardcore into it, but I'm completely biased. I'm really enjoying the game. Get early access so you can play with me, okay? That's all I have to say, guys. Thanks for watching, and please come back, Attack. My name is Skylent. You can check me out on my personal YouTube channel at Skylent Games, or like and subscribe here. I'm always here having fun, and hopefully, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Welcome back, Attack, and today we're going to be talking about 2016's best MMORPGs. These are going to be the new MMO games that we get to experience, at least in the West. Yes, some of these games are going to be localized titles, but for the most part, these are going to be entirely new MMOs, so get hyped for that, and these are going to be the games that we are almost certain will actually launch in 2016. But with that in mind, let's go ahead, jump right into it, starting at number 10.